Although it is difficult to find a universal definition for a disaster, it is commonly defined as an event that, number 1, is unexpected and catastrophic. Number 2, outweighs a community's ability to cope. Number 3, brings about devastating human and economic losses. In this video, we compare natural and man-made disasters to determine which is more devastating. Disasters are classified as either natural or man-made based on their causes. While natural disasters are events caused by natural forces that exceed a community's ability to cope, man-made disasters are caused by human activity. Natural disasters can usually be grouped into extreme instances of hydrological, geological, or meteorological events. We will later highlight the different kinds of impacts that disasters have on a community. Before that, let's discuss some examples of natural and man-made disasters. Natural disasters include hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, and floods, the most common disasters worldwide. Physical damage from such disasters has a significant impact on the social structure of a community. It leads to losses in various sectors, typically requiring a considerable recovery. Consider the effects of Hurricane Katrina, the tropical cyclone that hit the southeastern United States in late August 2005. Beyond claiming more than 1,800 lives, the third highest death toll attributed to a hurricane in U.S. history, Katrina's flooding and widespread damage slowed rescue and relief efforts for days.
That's sad.
Aside from the death toll, Hurricane Katrina left many people homeless, as the storm destroyed or damaged over 800,000 housing units. Katrina was the most expensive hurricane in U.S. history, with estimated damages exceeding $81 billion and costs exceeding $160 billion. On the other hand, examples of man-made disasters include hazardous chemical spills, industrial accidents, detonations, biological or chemical attacks, and plane crashes. Sometimes the effects of man-made disasters are magnified by natural elements, such as the Fukushima nuclear accidents that occurred in Japan in 2011. In this instance, a tsunami triggered a nuclear accident which officials of the power plant could have avoided had they adopted more extensive safety measures to adequately factor in the effects of an earthquake. Later, we'll highlight the distinct ways in which managers of the plant failed. Natural and man-made disasters significantly impact society, and these consequences can be classified as physical or social effects. Chemical pollution, loss of property or resources, and health impacts such as injuries, illness, and death are a few examples of physical impacts. On the other hand, social consequences could include psychosocial symptoms, socioeconomic loss, economic pressure, reduced productivity, sociodemographic loss, i.e., housing infrastructure, political disturbance, social activism, terrorism, pressure on healthcare and emergency systems. Typically, a single disaster or hazard causes casualties and damage due to multiple contributing forces. For example, a cyclone brings strong winds, water surges, and heavy rain. Furthermore, volcanoes cause problems such as lava flows, fires, ashfall, and the release of harmful gases. A man-made disaster, on the other hand, may result from human error, negligent behavior, malfunction of a human-engineered system, or an intentional act such as a pilot steering 250 passengers into a mountain. The economic and social impact of man-made disasters can be as devastating as a natural disaster. Although natural disasters are unavoidable, preventive measures can be taken to limit the damage in more vulnerable areas. However, you cannot prevent man-made disasters since they do not result from known and predictable phenomena, but frequently occur in unexpected locations. Man-made disasters can be avoided through diligent planning and alert monitoring. To drive that point home, let's recall the Fukushima nuclear disaster and imply how operators of the plant could have prevented it. First, authorities paid insufficient attention to number 1, proof of large tsunamis flooding the region earlier. Number 2, Japanese research indicating that large earthquakes could occur anywhere along the subduction zone. And number 3, new research on megathrusts since Boxing Day 2004. Furthermore, There were unexplainably different design conditions for nuclear power plants close to each other. Also, the analysis used to calculate the maximum likely tsunami at one of the plants appeared to have methodological flaws that almost no experienced tsunami engineer would have made. Finally, there were significant deficiencies in Japan's nuclear regulatory framework. The Fukushima disaster could have been avoided had international best practices and standards been followed, international reviews conducted, and common sense prevailed in interpreting pre-existing geological and hydrodynamic findings. Many man-made disasters appear to be associated with human development as these increased significantly in the 20th century, marked by an exponential growth in population. In his paper titled Frequency of Man-Made Disasters in the 20th Century, Les Coleman's analysis shows an exponential growth in disaster frequency, largely due to an increase in traditional hazards such as fires and explosions, rather than from new technologies. Unlike man-made disasters, certain areas more vulnerable to natural disasters can be identified to mitigate the effects as much as possible. Both types of disasters wreak havoc and cause enormous economic and social losses. However, the devastation and subsequent losses vary from one geographic area to another because developed regions often put more effective emergency measures in place than developing regions. Typically, communities with fewer social pressures are more likely to implement and monitor effective preventative measures. Countries with more robust economies are usually better prepared and able to mitigate the damage in both disaster categories. This is because great efforts are made to prepare for natural disasters. For example, stricter building codes are enforced in areas with high seismic activity. Subscribe to the channel to receive quality content like this in your feed. In contrast, regions with weaker economic and social circumstances experience the worst effects of disasters. For example, poverty-stricken communities frequently prioritize other issues over implementing advanced mitigation measures. The rate at which a natural disaster occurs, the total duration, and the signs preceding the event are all essential factors in determining the amount of damage it can cause. Human activity may contribute to the severity of a natural disaster. For example, erosion caused by the misuse of land may exacerbate the effects of drought. The damage from a man-made disaster is directly proportional to the event's magnitude, the location in which it occurs, and the speed and efficiency with which emergency measures are implemented to deal with it. Check out this video on the 5 worst man-made disasters the world has ever seen. Thank you for watching.